Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alright, today we're going to cover leading inequalities, the topic which is in chapter 7, Form 1 KSSM. So I'm teacher Hidayah from SMS Hulu Selangor. Is here to present you with this topic. This is top topic 7.1 for inequalities. Alright, so the learning outcome. Make generalization about inequality related to the first one is the converse and transitive properties, additive and multiplicative inverse, and second one is basic arithmetic operations. So here we have a textbook page 154. Alright, so what is converse? A converse means if A is less than B, then B is greater than A. So here we have a properties and we write is in form of inequality like this. If A is less than B, then B of course greater than A. So what is transitive? If A is less than B and B is less than C, then A is less than C. So we shall write like the properties of inequality, so it will look like this. If A less than B and B less than C, then A is less than C. So let us look at example 5. Write the converse property for each of the following inequalities. So the first one we have 2 less than 8. So like in the converse property, if 2 less than 8, then 8 must be greater than 2. Number 2, negative 5 less than negative 1. If negative 5 less than negative 1, then negative 1 greater than negative 5. And number 3, we have 0.3, which is greater than negative 0.2. By using the converse property, if 0.3 greater than negative 0.2, then negative 0.2 less than 0.3. Alright, so this is example 6. So write the transitive property for each of the following inequalities. So the first one we have 0 less than 2, 2 less than 5. By using the transitive property, of course we have 0 less than 5. So you write it as this way. If 0 less than 2 is 2 less than 5, then 0 less than 5. Number 2, we have negative 5 less than negative 2, negative 2 less than 0. So the answer is if negative 2 less than 2, if negative 5 less than 2 and negative 2 less than 0, that means then negative 5 less than 0. And then we have additive inverse. So what does it mean by additive inverse? When both sides of the inequality are multiplied by negative 1, the direction of the inequality symbol is reversed. So that means if you have anything that multiply with negative number, of course, automatically your inequality symbols must be changed, okay? Like inverse. So if A is less than B, then negative A greater than negative B. Why we have negative A and negative B? Because both of the inequality sides are multiplied by negative 1. Second one is multiplicative inverse. So here, when performing reciprocal of both number on both sides of the inequality, the direction of the inequality symbols is reversed. So if you have A less than B, then 1 over A greater than 1 over B. Why you have 1 over A? 1 over A is actually reciprocal numbers, yeah? We have 1 over something and 1 over something. So both of the additive inverse and multiplicative inverse will involve the changing of the symbol of the inequality. So let us look at example 7. Write the additive inverse for each of the following inequalities. So when you have 2 which is less than 5, so you multiply both inequalities by negative 1 for additive inverse, so the symbol must be changed. So here you have negative 2 greater than negative 5. And the second one we have negative 5 which is less than negative 1. So these both of the inequalities you multiply by negative 1. Of course here you have negative 5 and then times with negative number, okay? and then you have 5 greater than 1. Why is negative here? That means you multiply by negative 1 on both sides of the inequalities. Alright? Okay. So here is example 8. Write the multiplication inverse for each of the following inequalities. So you need to remember that multiplication inverse involving reciprocal. So when you have 2 less than 5, you have reciprocals, you have 1 over 2, the symbol of the inequality change, which is greater than 1 over 5. We can check. 1 over 2 is actually 0.5 and 1 over 5 is actually 0.2. So must be 0.5 must be greater than 0.2. Second one, we have negative 5, which is less than negative 1. So you do reciprocal on both sides of the inequality. So you have negative 1 over negative 5 greater than negative 1. Why I say this one negative 1? Because reciprocal, we still have negative 1, 1 over negative 1, which is equals to negative 1. Okay, the same thing. Alright, and then we check negative 1 over 5 equals to negative 1 over, negative 0.2. So negative 0.2 must be greater than negative 1. Okay. Alright, so move on basic arithmetic operations. The first one we have addition. So let's say you have case 1 when you have a positive c, that means positive number, any positive number. So you add on both sides of the inequalities, so the symbol don't change. Look at example 9 here. When you have 5 greater than 2, so you add both sides of the inequalities with positive 3. So here you have 5 plus 3, which is 8, and 2 plus 3, which is 5. So that means 8 greater than 5. And in case 2, when you have a negative number, so any number which is negative, so when a is greater than b, so a plus the negative number, and then greater than b plus the negative number, and then you want to take out the bracket, so plus minus becomes minus. So you have a minus c, which is greater than b minus c. So let us look at the second question of the example 9. So here you have 5 greater than 2, so you add both sides by negative 3. So 5 plus minus becomes minus, and 2 plus minus becomes minus. So 5 minus 3, which is 2, is greater than 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. So we come to a conclusion that inequality symbol remains unchanged. Alright, so for the second one, we have basic arithmetic operations on subtraction. So the same thing, if you have subtract both sides by positive number c, so you have like this. Let us look at example 8. So 5 greater than 2, so we add both sides by 5. So 5 minus 5, we subtract both sides by 5. So 5 minus 5, you get 0. 2 minus 5, you get negative 3. So we have 0, which is greater than negative 3. So for case 2, you want to subtract with a negative number, so it will become like this. Since a minus bracket minus c, so we open the bracket, that means minus minus becomes plus. So you have a plus c greater than b plus c. So look at question 2 on example 10. When you have 5 greater than 2, you subtract both sides of the inequalities by a negative number, which is negative 5. So here it will come like this. So you want to subtract both of the equations. So here minus minus, take out the bracket, becomes plus, and then you have 5 plus 5, which is 10, and then you have 2 plus 5, which is 7. Right, so that means 10 is greater than 7. So you come to a conclusion that inequality symbol remains unchanged. Alright, so this is the basic arithmetic operations on multiplication. Alright, for case 1, if you multiply both sides of the inequalities by c, so it will become ac greater than bc. So by example 11, alright, so example 11, when 5 greater than 2, so you multiply both sides by positive 2. So you have 10 greater than 4. Alright, so you come to a conclusion that the inequality symbol still remain unchanged. Alright, so for case 2, when you want to multiply by a negative number on both sides of the inequality, okay, so here you have negative AC less than BC. So let us look at number 2, for example 11. So when you have 5 which is greater than 2, so you subtract both with negative 2. So here 5 times negative 2 you get negative 10. 2 times negative 2 you get negative 4. So here look at the symbol of the inequality. Okay, so this one inequality symbol change. Alright, and lastly you have basic arithmetic operations on division. So let's say the case 1. So you divide everything with positive C, you have A over C greater than B over C. For example 12, when 4 is greater than 2, so you want to divide by 4, positive 4 on both sides of the inequality. So 4 divided by 4, you have 1, and then 2 divided by 4, you have half of it. So 1 is greater than 0.5. So we come to a conclusion that inequality symbol remain unchanged. Alright, for the second case, when you want to divide both sides of the inequality by a negative number, so what here is changed is the symbol of the inequality. So let us look of the question 2. When you have 4 which is greater than 2, you want to divide both sides of the equality by negative 4. So you have like this way. Okay, why the symbol remains symbol change? Because you have 4 divided by negative 4, you get negative 1. And the other side you have 2 divided by negative 4, you have negative 0.5. So here is negative 1 is actually less than negative 0.5. So we come to a conclusion that inequality symbol change. So that's the end of the topic. So thank you.